All right, now it's time to turn our attention to a much lighter story. Meet Samantha Woj. She's a visual artist from Canada who was born with a rare genetic disorder that left her with 2 fingers on each hand. But Woj doesn't let that stop her from her love, which is to paint. And she often does it using rather unusual tools. Woj did this piece that you're watching right now of Caitlin Clark to honor breaking the NCAA scoring record. And she did that painting using a basketball instead of paintbrushes. Of course, we have Samantha joining us now, live from her home in Canada. Samantha, thank you so much for being here. I wanted to start with that Caitlin Clark painting. What inspired you to create that one?
So I actually painted that one last year during the NCAA championship. I just kind of was hearing about her, and I'm not somebody who was following the college basketball because I'm from Canada and I wasn't really in that knowledge area, but now I am, but I wasn't then. And I'd say I was hearing more of her, and I love supporting women who are kind of making an impact in sports. And I was like, you know what, I got to paint her while they're going to the championship. So I kind of painted her at that moment, and I kind of wanted to embody that energy that she brings and that support kind of in the sport. And that's when I created it. So I just kind of reposted it during that huge game that just happened. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna repost it because like this is an iconic moment. So I wanted to reshare it with everybody, and it kind of blew up from there.
Well, it's a really incredible painting. And your story, your work, you've been going viral repeatedly over the last few years. For those of you that are at home, Samantha has painted with hockey equipment, footballs, tennis balls, swimming goggles even. I mean, when did you start to think of using tools instead of brushes?
So it was during the pandemic. I was at home and I injured my ankle, so I couldn't really do much. And I just graduated from my program, and I was like joking with my sister. I was like, "Hey, I have a soccer ball lying around the house. Why don't I just roll it on one of my canvases?" And so my sister Steph was like, "Yeah, why not?" And I rolled it, and I really liked the texture. And I'm somebody who loves sports, so I thought, you know what, the Olympics are going to be coming up. People can't have audiences like supporting them, so why not back home? Why not create paintings of the athletes to kind of show the support back home and kind of encourage them in their sports. That's how it kind of started.
And I have to imagine the creative process is different if you're using a basketball versus like a football or a tennis ball. But you can tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, is one easier or harder to use than the others?
So people think that there are one's harder than not, or one is harder than the other. But honestly, they find they are each have their own challenges because like a basketball for big marks, it's so easy because they could just like hit it against the canvas or roll it and it will cover up a whole large space. Compared to like a hockey puck, which will take a long time to kind of fill the same space. So like each equipment has its own challenges kind of to paint with. The only ones that I find are the hardest are the ones that are the heaviest. So like a ski boot, I did it only once
Ooh.
and I'm never doing it again because it's so heavy. But I'd say that's the most challenging aspect of it.
That I can imagine. I can respect that. So, like I've mentioned, you've been going viral for your work. The Kelsey brothers gave you a shout out on their New Heights podcast. I mean, has this increased visibility helped you reach more young artists? And what sort of advice do you give them?
I mean, honestly, I'm still processing that people are seeing my art. Like it is definitely grown. And more people know who I am, which I'm very proud of because I really wanted to kind of reach different audience and kind of highlight athletes in different sports, Paralympians, Olympians, people who are just kind of making an impact in sports and create and doing something they love. I wanted just to reach out to people who like celebrate that. So getting to meet people who I didn't really know existed before kind of doing this art practice to really engage with them is like amazing. It's unreal. I'm still beyond thankful and still processing it that people enjoy it. But what would I give is to anybody kind of creating is just keep creating, share your process and keep doing what you love and people will notice.
Definitely, people will for sure notice. And before I let you go, really quickly, do you have a favorite Caitlin Clark moment?
Oh, it has to be the last moment. I mean, she scored from basically center court and went right into the bucket. I mean, I don't think there's anything more iconic than breaking a record and right on the logo.
A thing of beauty, just like your paintings.
Yeah,
Samantha, thank you
thank
so
you.
much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
For you guys at home, you can check out more of Samantha's work by heading over to our website and clicking on the As Seen on TV tab.